So a thought popped into my head. I was just thinking it's like sort of vegan nostalgia or just nostalgia in general and how I used to think and how I think now. So I remember watching a Simpsons episode, and if you've ever seen or watched a few episodes of The Simpsons, you've probably heard about the term the level 5 vegan. Now this was used in an episode of The Simpsons in which I'm pretty sure Lisa becomes an environmentalist, or she sort of acts on her environmentalism more, and she lives up in a tree to save it from being cut down. And one of the supporters gives her a lock of his hair, a dread, and he's like, I'm a level 5 vegan. I don't eat anything that casts a shadow.
The earth is the best. That's why I'm a vegetarian.
Well, that's a start.
I was thinking of going vegan.
I'm a level 5 vegan. I won't eat anything that casts a shadow.
And there are stages to veganism, I guess. It's the progressive movement towards doing the best you can in terms of other living beings in the environment and yourself. That would sort of be my definition of it, compared to the Donald Watson coined phrase in 1944 with his little V gang of 6 people up in the attic, which is, I think, I couldn't give you the exact definition, so I'm not going to. But what I thought of vegan, I didn't even know what vegan meant at that time. I just thought it was a joke, part of a joke. And that probably would have been, like 10 years ago or something like that, when I was just a young teenager. And now I don't eat any animal products. And that move, although I guess it only happened over the course of 1 or 2 days in which I stopped eating animal products altogether, essentially going cold turkey. I guess it's a progression of thought that builds up over the course of your life. And in the next 5 years, I won't eat animal products, but I'll be somewhere different with my thinking and with what I eat, I guess, and what I do and what I buy. And there might be different choices for the consumers that we have in the next 5 years that we don't have now. Well, there definitely will be. But in terms of food as well, so if you look at something like the Impossible Burger or the Beyond Beef Burger, where it is essentially the most almost vegan food you can get, like, that isn't vegan, because they use an original sample of animal products and then they cultivate that sample to clone, a lot of meat. I don't know if that's the Impossible Burger or Beyond Meat. One of them, they do lab-grown meats. And it's certainly a more ethical option to factory farming and, grass-fed cattle, aka living beings. So we'll have different choices. But if I go back to the time that I went vegan and the months leading up to that, I was in my final year of uni. I was studying a lot of physiology courses. That particular semester was cardiovascular physiology, to do with sort of health and disease, not much to do with sport. There was hormones and reproduction. There was, I think biological neuroscience or something like that. And then there was a biomedical core course that we had to take for our final year. And it was right before one of my last exams that I was like, Mum, I'm going to go vegan. And she said, don't do it before the end of your exam, I remember. It'll be too hard on your body. And whilst there was some sort of change that happened in the first few days, I think I was eating enough, but I felt lighter. So that was sort of the change. I mean, it could have been due to calorie density not being there and just not eating enough, feeling strange, but it was a positive feeling overall, and it was good. And so what changed my mind in the lead up to those couple of days where it cut out completely, and I mean, I guess I'd put it down to YouTube mainly, really, because that's where I got all my information from. I didn't have any books given to me. I wasn't reading any particular books because none of my friends were vegan or even vegetarian. I mean, I think I knew 1 or 2 vegetarians. I was a vegetarian in my school. That was because of religious reasons. But other than that, no one really thought about what they ate, other than thinking that protein is good and you need chocolate milk or milk for recovery, something like that. The same old stuff that everyone else still thinks now, the majority of people, but it's changing. And I remember watching Durian Rider, Harley, thinking this guy's, he's interesting, but he's crazy. And I still think that, but I also can see his point on animal products. And I watched a presentation called 101 Reasons to Go Vegan, and that probably got me 80% of the way there. And then I'm pretty sure the one that tipped me over the edge was Vegucated, another documentary. These are all on YouTube. And from there, I was like, okay, this is something that I have to do. It's just what it is. This is the right thing to do, and I have to follow my gut. So from there, I think I watched Forks Over Knives and Cowspiracy later on, and then Earthlings as well, which I don't think I watched fully. I only watched a little bit, because you don't want to watch that. It's a very unpleasant thing. And if you can't watch that, but you still participate in those fueling those industries with your dollars, then you've got to have a good hard look about what you're doing and the hypocrisy involved in it. If you're a vegan and you can't watch that, that's fine, because you're trying your best not to get involved in it. Sure, there are animals that get killed in the harvesting of grain and wheat and fruit picking and shit like that. It's about doing the best you can. Grow the fruit in your backyard, and you know that animals won't be killed if you're not using bone and blood manure, which you certainly don't have to. There are alternatives to it. They're simply byproducts of the industry, the animal agriculture industry. And yeah, they help things grow, but you don't have to use it to help things grow. There are other ways you can get around it. Permaculture, what's it called? There's monoculture, and then there's I don't know, I guess it's polyculture? I don't know. So that's sort of the lead up towards veganism. And then if you have people surrounding you, that would just make it all the more easy. I did it by myself, and then I found a group on Facebook, and there's a big group in Hong Kong here as well, and we're all going to meet up this Sunday, so that's going to be cool. My first Hong Kong vegan meetup, but I did a few in Melbourne, which is good, and they've got a good thriving community there in Australia. In Hong Kong, it'll be interesting to see how it goes over here. Different culture, different traditions, probably less, I don't know if it's less respect. I guess it is less respect towards animals. Humans being even more of a dominant species, seen as like a really, the ultra top of the food web chain. Think about your lead up to veganism, and think about where you've come from since then, and think about where you're going to be in the next few years. Thanks for listening to another Power Plant podcast. My brain droppings. It was a double run session today. I ran 22-point-something K, a 9K run this morning, and 13.1 at the track. 3x2 kilometre repeats at about 6:10 per 2 kilometre, or 6:15 per 2 kilometre, in between there, and then a 1K at 3 minutes, and then a couple of 200 metre sprints. Legs feel great. I could have kept running all into the sunset. Thanks for listening. Ciao. Catch you on the next episode of the Power Plant Podcast.